All right, so we're going to talk about today is what it's like being a cook in the army. If anyone's considering joining in the army, here's what it's like to be a cook. So I can't say what it's like now, but when I went to what they call AIT, which is called Advanced Individual Training, excuse me, they we started out with the concepts. The first concept was small quantity cooking, to which we would cook small batches of entrees, whether it be a meat, starch, vegetable, and whatever. That was the first week. Then the second week, the it was small quantity baking, where we would bake like maybe a sheet of brownies, cookies, or muffins, or whatever. Most of them are pretty good. Of course, I got an A in baking because I was good at baking before it was even cool. But cooking I didn't do so hot in. But then after that, in the third week, we ended up doing. It was so the total training was 8 weeks and 3 days. Third week we did small garrison, which is a basically garrison is like when you're still in the army, but you're at your home station. But small garrison is usually for dining facilities that are, I want to say it's, I want to say it's like 200 personnel or less. I don't remember, but it was an interesting. It was interesting. So we got feeding people, and it was a nice little run. And then the next week we did, but it was just basically we were doing shifts, 2 shifts, and it was pretty crowded because we had 79 troops in our platoon rather, and it was pretty intense with all those people in there. And after that it was. I want to say we started out. We did like a week or two of field training. After that, which was all right. It was just classroom. And after that, we actually went out to the field. And then after that, we graduated. The field was basically we was cooking on a mobile kitchen trailer, which or MKT. But I believe now they've changed it. It's now a CK, which is called a containerized kitchen, which is basically all they do is just spread it out, hook it up, and it's already set up. The MKT was more convenient, like say if you were going to field sites when you were jumping a lot. If you were because when I was in station in Hawaii, we jumped everywhere. Everything was go here, go there, jump here, jump there, this, that, and the other. Because we do a field exercise in one spot and then they jump to another site. And that was pretty common. But and but the CK isn't necessarily as convenient for jumping as the MKT is. But it was but field was fun, but I ain't gonna lie to you, being a cook is a lot of work. It's like you're moving at the speed of light, boom, 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 and you have to know to multitask. It's just is what it is. It's like you're doing like millions of things at once. That's why I was like by the time I got out, I was always pushing to be on meats because that was pretty much the easiest job in the entire facility. I mean, it was just mostly you were just I mean, you'd start out, I mean, it requires a lot of time management. And if you don't know about time management, you're going to learn, trust me. You're gonna get the concept. Now, I don't know how fast you get, depending on how fast you learn, but you're going to eventually, by the time you get out of the Army, you're going to know about time, how to manage your time. But yeah, and the thing about it was, I think it made me despise cooking by the time I got out. I don't hate it so much no more because it's been so long. But I used to despise, when I was in the Army, I hated cooking. I remember I was married. I'd go home and my wife at the time would be like, "Where's dinner?" I was like, "Babe, I spend all day cooking. The last thing I want to do when I get home is cook." But yeah, it was. I mean, I honestly, I ain't gonna lie, I hated the job. It was just too much yelling, too much screaming. I mean, I know I should have been used to it, but I always hated that. I mean, I one thing I've embraced since getting out of the military is I rarely, I mean, I haven't really chosen any jobs where I got yelled at. And if I did get yelled at, like in a severe manner, I just end up leaving because I just don't have any tolerance for working at places where I have to walk on eggshells. And that's one of the things that has been troubling since I got out was for me just building a tolerance to people screaming and hollering like they got no sense. And that's one of the things I still struggle with today. But there's I mean, it's a useful tool, and there's other avenues you can go to, and I never took advantage of them. I wish I had. Like you can do like culinary class. They'll send you to like a culinary classes and things like that if you want to do it. And I mean, they're limited. The spots are limited, but because and they generally the NCOs generally choose who they want to send. So you gotta be able to stand out, so to speak. I know the Army doesn't like individuals, but you have to, as an individual, sometimes you have to stand out to be noticed. And sometimes being noticed is a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. If you're one that always getting into trouble, partying all the time, drinking and driving, things like that, you're probably going to be noticed in a bad way. And last I checked, the military doesn't have a tolerance for drunk driving if you get caught. Okay. It used to be like if you failed a drug test or got a DUI, they would mandate that you go to ACE. I think it's called ASAP now. It was when I left. It's the alcohol treatment program, drug and alcohol treatment program that the Army has. I mean, I went to it. I was a self referral, but it was more or less. It was a lot of moving. There's a lot of moving. You know, you pretty much you go in. Like say, if you're coming in the morning and you're on meats, like the best thing to do is get all like the bacon and the sausage together. Put that in the you know put that in the oven. Put those in the oven. The only thing is the bacon is you gotta constantly take it out and drain the grease because it's called oven fried bacon. The reason I call it that is because it fries in its own fat in the oven. But you have to constantly be watching it and taking it out. The sausage was easy. 9 times out of 10 it was already pre-cooked. It usually took about 10-15 minutes. You're done. But and bacon, you can't really cook it all the way because it's going to continue to cook when it's in the warmer. So you do all the bacon, you do all the sausage, and you have to do the beef gravy. So the cream beef gravy. So you do that, and then you knock out that, and then you get over to the cream beef gravy, which is pretty easy to make. It's just milk, flour, and milk, flour, roux. What they do is, and You basically make a roux, you let it heat up and boil a little bit, then you add the milk to it, and it thickens up relatively quickly. Then you add the ground beef to it, which is already cooked. You have to cook the ground beef first. It's kind of like when you're making a spaghetti sauce. You got to cook. You have to actually cook. You have to actually cook the meat first. So the meat has to be cooked. And a lot of times I've been to places where they don't let you do breakfast prep, and you're coming in at like 3 hours before breakfast even starts. Those are a pain in the ass. But most facilities I've worked at, they'll let you do the breakfast prep the night prior, or sometimes the night bakers would designate someone to do it. But it's mostly just getting stuff. And I think the hardest job I had when I worked in there was they had what's called the outside line, which was your salad, your like in your morning it was your fruits and things like that. That was actually the hardest thing to do, because you're just like pretty much and they generally put in privates when they come out of AIT. What they do is they put the private on outside line when they get to their first assignment, because it really helps as far as helping you work on your speed, like getting things in there and things. And I've had it, like I've been on shifts where they had it like I was on outside line all by myself, and to where it would normally take 2 to 3 guys to do it. By the time I got out, I was pretty much I was a champion of outside line. But it was, like I said, the Army was fun. You got some good benefits, and I'm not trying to encourage or discourage anybody to join. But if you're going to join, now would be a good time, now that Trump is in office. But because he's planning to expand the military, and I think in December they had the highest enlistment rate in a long time. So I think if shit pops off in Russia and in Israel, they're going to be hurting for people. So anyways, so that's about all I have. It's not really too in depth. I think it's more or less it's pretty much, you got sections. You got the meats, you got the starches and vegetables, you got the outside line. Mostly, I think that's mostly about it, if I remember correctly. And then there's after that there's and then you got the bakers, which normally come in at night and do everything like all the pastries and whatever else they need. Then pretty much bakers are pretty much reserved for making desserts, which is good. It's pretty good. I liked baking when I did it. It was fun. I mean, I'd come in at night, hardly anybody else was in there. We just do the things, work about 4 or 5 hours, and jet. And the only thing I had to do the next day was PT, which I liked, because it was just, you were doing PT pretty much every day. But if you're on regular shift, you're not doing PT every day. You're doing it probably every other day. And then in the afternoon, either your unit leader, your section leader, would have you do PT in the afternoon, or you would do it with the company when they do what they call special pops PT in the afternoon, which is basically the people that are struggling in their PT or overweight. But anyways, I appreciate your time listening to me, and I'll see you in the next one after I figure out what I plan to talk about next. And if you like this kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see more videos. And I'll talk to you soon.